Welcome to your reset reflections. I think it's nice to take moments when we're going about our daily lives, to focus our attention on different kinds of themes of reflection that support our growth in life. And the theme this week that I'll be speaking to is a general one that has to do with growth and development. And this doesn't have to do with age, and it doesn't have to do with time. It really has to do with where you are in your own personal development as a person. And I think it's important to remember that for us to have a desire to grow is not a reflection necessarily that anything is necessarily wrong in life, but you may be a curious person. You may be a person that is drawn to the unknown, or simply having a desire to discover just how incredibly capable you are, or just for shits and giggles. So that said, it has been my humble experience that in my own path to growth, that is definitely not a straight line, anything but, and it's not a clean process. Goes up and downs and backwards and forwards, and sometimes thing like stuck in places. And so first and foremost, I think one of the things that comes to mind is growth doesn't happen on our timeline, but on a bigger timeline, guided by life. And for sure, you've heard the expression that life doesn't give us anything that we're not capable of handling. And I think sometimes life is prepping us for something that's not in our awareness. And when we're ready for something to begin to unfold, it does. But the work necessary to prepare for that takes something. And if you're interested in keeping things as they are, that's a challenge in and of itself too, because change is a constant, and trying to keep things in place as they are, people in place as they are, things we like as they are, then that takes up a lot of energy. And when we give ourselves permission to evolve and develop and grow without a timeline, in more of a in sync with nature kind of flow. It just takes a lot less energy. It does take a level of commitment to want to grow and develop, to stay connected to a conversation, to practices that support you in that. Because everybody has a lot on their plate. And so easily we can get disconnected from those things that support us most. And I think that tends to happen more often when we are in a really great space. And staying consistent and showing up for ourselves in small bite sizes to longer lengths of time and investments of our energy and our resources carries us a really long way, and if we're in it for the long haul. One of my former teachers, he's now 80 years of age, and he's still invested in his own development and growth. And that's one of the reasons I chose him as one of my teachers, because that inspires me. People of no matter what age they are, no matter where they are in life, they never feel like they've arrived. There's a inherent curiosity and a courage even to be willing to say, I don't know, and personally I think that the more I learn and dive into areas that I've not been trained in, the more I become aware of that I don't know anything. And it's important to stay humble and develop that deep inner listening of how does what I think I know get in the way of what I'm ready for now? And am I willing to put that aside and try on something new? Which brings me to honesty and truthfulness. A challenging conversation to have with ourselves, because I think that, when it comes to expecting others to be truthful and honest with us, it's very upsetting when we discover somebody else hasn't been truthful and honest with us. But yet, how often do you find that you're not being truthful and honest with yourself? And when we require ourselves to be truthful and honest with ourselves, it takes something, and supports are definitely needed in that process, because we won't necessarily like what we're seeing. And that's humbling as well. But growth in and of itself is directly related in how willing you are to be truthful and honest with yourself. We want to take it slow because it can bring up pain, and it can bring up sadness, and it can bring up a lot of it felt experience that isn't necessarily comfortable. It can trigger judgment. It can trigger numbing. It can trigger disconnection and detachment. And so that's why I think it's really, really important that we surround ourselves with people who will be willing to listen, not dole out advice, but simply listen and be with you and walk with you and hold you and encourage you and are up to the same type of standards that you're holding for yourself. And also respecting that people go about their own growth development in different ways and whatever they're ready for. But a support network is definitely a helpful one. I'm not saying you can't grow on your own. Of course you can. It's just a lot harder. And something I think I found beautiful is that when I share what my challenges have been and where I am at the present moment, then I learn and discover more about the people in my lives, because they'll start telling me stories perhaps they've never told me before. And they also may share where they are, and it opens up my relationships to deeper places of sharing, which I quite find really nourishing on the soul level. So wherever you are this week, as we transition towards the fall season and we come off the high energies of summer and move towards a season that is about preparing to go inward. It's a season about releasing and letting go. May you find what I shared with you today useful and supportive. It probably wasn't illuminating, nothing you've ever heard, but maybe it served as a little reminder. And may you find the courage to be honest with yourself. And may you find the courage to stay in the conversation and ask for supports when needed, and be kind and loving and be willing to release over and over again. Have a beautiful day.